So focusing on the printing of money as the main reason for you thinking the dollar is going to fall is really missing 90% of the point. I mean, that is the headline that you see from a network news channel. The reality is the global financial system is propped up by the US dollar based on trillions and trillions of dollars of what is called dollar denominated debt. At any given time, the US has printed about $2.1 trillion of hard currency across the globe, and this is just to settle normal things. However, the global financial system is floating on top of $85 trillion worth of dollar denominated debt. Now, what dollar denominated debt or a dollar denominated bond is it is a promise to pay. One country is promising a non-US country. One non-US country is promising to pay another non-US country in dollars for goods or services. For instance, when China looks at Australia and goes, I want to buy Australian beef. And Australia goes, okay, cool. You want to buy Australian beef, but the reality is we in Australia don't need as much yuan, so we don't want yuan. Can you pay us in dollars? We need dollars to go buy U.S. submarines. So China goes, yeah, we want beef, so we'll go ahead and we'll exchange our currency via a forex swap or a swap line to pay you in dollars. And here's an agreement that over the next 10 or 20 years, we will buy Australian beef for U.S. dollars. Here you go. And that is the basic components of what is called dollar denominated debt. The US has little control over who promises to pay in US currency. That's like me going to my neighbor and saying, I'm going to go ahead and buy your lawnmower, but I'm going to go ahead and pay for it in pesos. And my neighbor's like, okay, cool. I'll pay. You can pay for it in pesos. The Mexican government has no control over if I want to pay for pesos. Neither does the US government. This is a promise between two entities. So when countries have promised $20 trillion in official dollar denominated debt, the US doesn't have a lot of control over it because its currency is a market currency. It's just open. There's a supply and demand. So when there's a higher demand, the US tries to bolster supply, but it's got to be official. The problem is many of these countries make unofficial deals like this, and there's what is called the hidden dollar debt, and the scale of that is 3 times that of what is the non-hidden dollar debt. It's to the tone of about $65 trillion, and this is dollar debt promises made by cartels or countries doing under the table deals. A lot of these countries still, or even cartels as an example, when let's say Japan, there's a Japanese gang that wants to buy cartel cocaine from South America, the cartels, they'll go and say, well, we want to buy your cocaine. And the cartel's like, okay, you can buy our cocaine, but we don't want it in yen. We don't do enough trade within the Japanese underworld to need yen. But what we do need is dollars. So we'll sell it to you, but you got to pay us in dollars. And they make these agreements. This is all across the whole globe, and the U.S. has no control over this. The U.S., if you want to promise to pay another country in U.S. dollars that you don't have, that is on your country. The U.S. isn't going to magically poof currency for you to pay that. It's the deal you have made on your own outside of the U.S.'s purview. So there is some $65 trillion worth of this under the table payments that are being required to be paid. On a daily basis, 2.2 trillion of that is at risk of default because people have overpromised for goods and services to be paid in dollars that they just don't have. And it goes even further because it's not just bilateral. There's multilateral trade situations here where you have China saying, I want your beef there, Australia, but I also need to sell my stuff to Britain. And Britain's like, okay, I'll sell you my stuff, but I don't want you to pay me in yuans either because I don't need yuans. I need to buy US computer chips. or and so there's like it's multiple avenues here of self-sustaining, self-recovering, self-strengthening dollar usage, and that is the focus here. And people don't seem to understand that there must be countries like China and Japan have mammoth reserves of US currency so it can pay for the promised goods that it received in dollars. It's promised dollars for goods because countries don't always want yuan. And the smaller a country is, the more likely it has dollar denominated debt. Turkey just issued billions of dollars in dollar denominated debt because it needs dollars to buy probably weapons from the United States. But that's just a small subset. Lots of these countries who don't have their own major currencies will make promises to pay for things they need in the US dollar because everyone knows the US dollar is stable and they know the US dollar is going to be around for a while. So these arguments about the dollar what people are calling now the dollar doomers, are absolutely misguided. They focus on the headlines rather than the reality behind the scenes, and that you have over half the global GDP made in promises to pay in US dollars. That's not going away anytime soon.